Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For any first time viewers, I'm Jesse Rebirth, and we're on the third video. If you missed the other two, we opened up Kaneda in the first one, and in the second one we did the bike. Now as you can see right here, we have them both together. Now, these have been sitting in their boxes for over a year here, and then they've been sitting separate for like 2 or 3 months because I did not get around to this as quick as I wanted to. I did the videos of them separately and I had not put them together because a bunch of things came up. As you can see here, this thing is huge and it looks amazing. When you see it, I don't know how it's coming out on film. I did see how they look separately, but together, like, this is everything that I wanted it to be. I mean, when you see the size of this bike and him, because Medicom figures are 1/6 scale, but they're slightly smaller than a hot toy. And one thing, he fits in this bike really well. Now, I haven't messed around with him with any other poses. I already had the gun in his hand. I already had it all on. And there is that scene when he actually finds the beam rifle. He is on his bike, and I was like, you know what? It's going to look really dope all together. But I mean, these lights on this bike are really the thing that make this figure pop. Too bad these lights couldn't just stay on all the time, because I mean, they really look cool. We're on the sound mode right now, and that's why these blinkers are clicking. But let me show you how this looks with the light just a little more dimmed. So you can see how the neon green shines itself onto the ground on both of them. You can see up here we have our front light or whatever, and then we got our little console lights right in here that should be shining off of him. As he turns, you'll see them, but it's his speedometer, it's his GPS and everything else, and he does have these brake lights in the back. Now, I originally did have the Kaneda figure, so if you didn't see the other videos, I'll catch you up to what's going on. I had him, missed out on the bike, and this is like 12 years ago. Missed out on the bike, sold him because I thought I would never have the bike, because back in the day they never re-released anything. This is the revival version, as they say. I do hope they make a Tetsuo. Just to have all three of them together, I think it would be amazing. But nowadays, and a lot of people are very split on this issue. Personally, myself, a collector, I'm not collecting to sell these things, and I know a lot of people have a whole different outlook on this, but if it's a 1/6 figure, it's going to sell out and it's going to become rare again. It's not like they re-release these things so quickly that they completely lose their value if you're into that. But as a collector, I think these things have a gain of entry, if I'm being honest. Or I guess a point of entry, where you might not want to get into a series of figures if you can't get a certain one that's already passed. Now, I've said this before, I think Storm Collectibles has a bad bar of entry. I think that so many great figures have already been made by Storm Collectibles that you can't get, that it's almost like, so Karen and I want to get a Terry Bogard. And we have been getting the King of Fighters, but it's like we can't get Terry because he already came out a long time ago. We remember when he was in stock, we just weren't going down that direction with those figures at the time. But Storm Collectible figures are absolutely incredible, but it's like you can get every other character as of now that's in stock, but you can't go back and get some of your favorites. So I absolutely love that they re-released this. Now, if they re-release it in another 5 or 10 years, so be it. You know what? Re-release it on Akira's next anniversary. I would be totally fine with it, because if you're someone that's watching this and you want this and it already sold out, which it has in many places. Oh, our lights went off. We'll put it on just the light mode. If this already sold out, I mean, you're going to have to go into the secondhand market. You're going to have to go for scalpers. One thing I do really want, but I don't think we're going to do it unless they re-release it. They call this the cowl. So it's like a Batman cowl. They did it where it came with this part, it came with this part, and it came with the front little wheel fenders, I guess if you want to say it. And it comes with like 200 stickers that you could just pile up all over the front of the cowl. And it looks just like the cover of the manga where he's on his bike and it's just plastered with stickers. And it came with some DVD. Maybe it showed you how they made it, whatever. I don't know. But it's very expensive to get on eBay. They're all pre-owned and they're very expensive. Now, as long as the stickers are intact, I mean, go for it. But I don't plan... Let me say it this way. I don't want to spend the $300 to get the whole thing when the bike was like... I think the bike was like $600 to $700 on its own. But back in the day, it wasn't that much either. I remember him being only... I remember Kaneda being only like 195, maybe. Maybe that's even high. But when he came out again, he was like $300. But I guess you could say inflation, whatever it may be. Figures are getting much more expensive and they are giving us less and less nowadays. Now, that is something I do totally have a bone to pick with these companies, because when we first got our DX Joker, we got the Joker, we got a whole nother cop outfit, a head, everything we needed, and they started popping out bodies at the same time saying, hey, we know you want to just dress this up on an extra body. You have 2 Jokers all in one. Nowadays, we get Hot Toys that don't even have an extra head sculpt, and they might have 6 hands and whatever else. It just feels like they stopped wanting to give you the most because they could just put it with something else or just never do it, and that's where the custom market really comes in clutch. So now, real quick, just as a little size comparison, because I'm sure some of you out there, I know some of you out there actually do own this, probably quite a few of you, but I thought this would be a good little comparison. Now, this is the original Bat Pod, not the re-release where you can hook his EMP gun to it, but this is the original one that came with the wires and the cape so it could be flowing in the wind. But you can see just how big these are. Now, this thing is massive, but this red bike is literally from wheel to wheel the same size. It's just the guns that stick out on this thing. You see above and below. Now, I personally, when they started putting out this stuff for the Dark Knight, I thought it was incredible to have 1/6 scale figures with accessories like a Bat Pod, the Batmobile, and then when they were putting out the Bat, and when they originally did it in 1/6, I was like, oh, all right, you're gonna have to save up for this thing. This thing's gonna be like probably $1,000 back then. Probably would have been, because the Batmobile really wasn't that expensive. I remember the '89 Batmobile was $450. The new one, I think it's like $700 to $900 depending. But if they had made a 1/6 Bat, I probably would have bought it back then. But the next figure, now I have a couple things that I got to get through before we move on to that, because I already have a Tifa statue opened. I got this White Knight Batman that was basically a glorified, unlicensed kit bash. But it had me thinking it would be dope to have a White Knight motorcycle 1/6. But we have a Cloud with his, was his first bike the Daytona? The Daytona? Because the Farrier is the Advent Children. I think it's the Daytona. But we have a 1/6 Cloud from Game Toys that came with his motorcycle, and I want to get that open just because I think it would go really good with all these 1/6 figures. And we actually just got Cloud and Jessie on her motorcycle at the beginning of the remake when they basically made it a much longer Midgar thing. Now you spend hours in Midgar instead of just the like 5 you already spent. But I think it's absolutely awesome. The size and basically the dynamics it gives these figures to have this big of an accessory. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I truly think this is one of my favorite anime pieces I own. The more I just kept playing with it, the more I enjoy it. It's so cool. There is the little things where I wish Kaneda's jacket would hold shut a little better. This got delayed because I accidentally pulled the threads on the bottom and I completely ripped them out on accident, and Karen went back and sewn it back together for me, and we moved his top button over a little bit. You can kind of tell, but not enough to where I like highlighted it or anything. But during the making of these 3 videos, and this one's a little late, but I truly enjoy this piece. I think it is so cool. So if you're ever thinking about pulling the trigger on this one, I say absolutely go for it. It feels like a piece of nostalgia already. I mean, this might be brand new to you, but for those who knew when this released back in like 2012 or whatever it was, it's just like, if you, like, I missed it. So it's like, it feels so cool because it feels like a blast from the past. I mean, it's from a really old movie, but it's an old release that got revamped. And it's truly one of my favorite collectibles at this point. I love the accessory. He's a great figure, but without the bike, it wasn't enough to hold on to him the first time. But now, like, there's just no way I would want to part with this. Like, no way. The bike is so cool. He's so cool. The lighting, all of it. But everyone, thank you so much for all the love and support you show me. Please leave me a like, a comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more of this stuff. I am getting around to all the comments, and I am truly grateful for all of you. And most of all, guys, keep buying toys.